today nothing is going as planned, but I like it anyways.
That's what life is.
Yeah. Okay, how are you, Vini? So nice to see you since the last time we met.
Yes, definitely. I'm doing great. A lot of things happened since last time we met. A lot of things changed. I think like for both of us. I mean, now you have what do you call this? It is like a podcast
Yeah,
or
why not?
yeah, it's
A
a podcast.
podcast?
All right. But yeah, I am doing super good. So my name is Vinicius, but everyone calls me Vini. I actually prefer it. I am a Brazilian guy, 25 years old. I'm living in Portugal for the last 10 years of my life. I love traveling. Traveling is actually my biggest motivation for everything nowadays. Um, I am passionate about education also when it's the area that I work, the area that I've been working for the last 6 years. I love giving workshops, trainings, facilitations, designing learning tools, everything that is related to improving people's lives and my life in the process also, which is the beauty about it. And right now, I am working on several different projects. Actually, it's not just one of
Okay.
them. But I'm working right now in an organization called PAR, which means peers, and
Okay.
I'm a project manager for this organization. And I work mostly with international projects like Erasmus projects and other combinations of projects. And it's the other thing that I'm creating right now, which I think is the one that you were talking about before, is the group called Are We Eternal? Abbreviation called O.
Which is
And
amazing,
it's
by the way. You just
thank
found
you,
the
thank you very
perfect
much.
acronym.
I think so too.
Yeah.
it took a while to find this name, but I was like, okay, because actually what I wanted was the word off, and then
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, how can I make this? And eventually, I got to Are We Eternal? And it's a group, and our focus is to spread a positive education. We want to share people's voices. We want to create cool projects regarding education. So we are still finding out ourselves and our own identity. But for now, we are mostly working with sharing people's voices, especially young people. We are creating space such as this one that you're creating right here. So people can share their work, can share their ideas, can share what they believe. And yeah, it's going great. We are starting get like more and more projects nowadays. So I feel like even though I'm overwhelmed with a lot of things, at the same
Right.
time it's all good. It's all good.
It's so exciting, so exciting. So, how did it all start? Because these are all very new projects. So, what was your main idea and who did you start it with? Like, how did it develop?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I will talk mostly about this Ari Eternal group, and it's always wanted to create something. This is always something that I wanted to do, mostly for two main reasons. One of them was I wanted to create something meaningful that I felt was not there yet.
Mm-hmm.
And the other reason was mostly because I wanted to challenge myself also. It's like, can I do it? Or, like 'cause I was seeing so many people creating things. I was like, I think I can also do that. So I just wanted to actually try. And this idea was in my mind for like a very long time. I would say mostly 1 year, just like maturing, like
Okay.
not going to the paper, but then not going to reality. And then eventually I was doing a ESC program, like a ESC also, it's the volunteering program that you do in another country. And I was in Greece. I stayed there for 1 year.
What year was it? How long ago?
It was 2020. Yeah.
Okay.
2020, 2021.
Okay,
So,
so
like in the
right during the pandemic.
exactly, which was the best time ever to go there, and it was the best place ever to be during the pandemic. But I can go back to that.
Yeah.
But so I was there, and I was in the middle of the process. I was starting to feel inspired by everything that I was doing there, and then I was like, okay, you know what? Like, there is no better time than now to start something new.
Mm-hmm.
So I gathered the ideas like that I had like in a lot of papers and everything, and I started writing. And I was like, okay, all and all, what can it be? Are we eternal? And then I was like, okay, is this, and this? And then once I got like a more or less thing,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, this is gonna be very hard. I think I need a partner. I was looking at my friends, and I was like, okay, because you know we have very good friends, or you can even have best friends, but not all of them are suited to be a partner in a project like this.
Right, right.
But I had one friend that I met in college. Her name is Gabriela. Shout out to Gabriela. And I felt like she would be perfect because she also had like a similar way of thinking. She was also a little bit ambitious in this way of creating something and helping others in the process. It's like, okay, hey Gabriela, I have this idea. I presented it to her. I was like, okay, do you like it or not? Should we try? And she loved it. And so we started, and we did everything by ourselves, like the websites and uh, creating the project idea, writing project applications for getting grants and stuff like that. And we've been doing this, and like eventually more people joined us, and now we are a group of five, six people. But
That is incredible.
it's a process. It's a process. It's a process.
But is it, are you all a group, like a volunteer group, or is it actually a work experience?
So right now we are all like as a volunteer based. The organization is not even like a full organization by itself. We
Okay.
got our first project approved as a group because as an informal group of young people, you can also apply for projects.
Okay.
So yeah, you can also apply for not a lot of them, but there are some specific projects for youth that you can apply for. And we got our first one approved like 2 months ago. So we are starting it right now, which is the Talk the Change project that you were seeing the lives. You were there yesterday.
Yeah.
Um, and
So
so yeah,
for the
yeah,
public
sorry.
who's listening, what do you want to talk to us a little bit about this project?
Yeah, sure. So this project was one of our attempts to actually start to professionalize the group somehow. Because that's the thing, like we are all volunteers right now. No one is getting actually paid, but it's our goal. Okay, so eventually we wanted to be able to be working there, right, and to dedicate like our full time to it and just like improve it more and more. So we have this project right now, which is called Talk the Change. And the idea of this project is that for 1 year, so it started last month and it's going to last 1 year. We're going to be, every month, we're going to be talking about a different topic. So we have several topics that we have to talk about. For example, we started now with a topic related to mental health, which was the burnout generation. There is a very beautiful video that is going to come out today. I think pretty soon, actually, in our page. So please, if anyone
Let's go
is
check it
interested,
out.
at
Do you
Are
wanna?
We Eternal is the page.
Okay, I'm gonna write it here so
Thank you.
people can see it.
And next time, the next topic will be climate change, and then we're going to be talking eventually about human rights. Eventually, going to be talking about politics. So there's a lot of different topics that are mostly related to things that are happening in our society nowadays.
Hmm.
And every month we're going to be doing lives, workshops, webinars, different kinds of activities for free that people can join and just like learn more about these topics and develop themselves. So I'm very inspired by this project. I'm very happy that we got accepted and we are able to do it. and I think it's gonna be like it's gonna take us to the next level of what we are trying to do.
And what is your goal? What are your ambitions? Where do you want to get?
Ooh, like in life?
Both in this project, and yeah, I mean, you said that you were moved by this will to make something impactful, right? So, what's your hope for this project, and where do you wish this project can actually lead you?
Yeah, this is a good question. As I mean, I feel like this project specific, the Talk the Change project, will give our group all the chance to actually build organizations, right? So the chance to actually become a real organization and slowly start to professionalize ourselves. But my goal with the whole group and Are We Eternal and our main idea is to create a platform where people can learn,
Mm-hmm.
and also to create a space where people who want to share something and don't know how to, because I feel like there's a lot of people out there that they have great project ideas. They just don't know how to write an application. They just don't know how to get the fundings for these projects. They just don't know where to start their ideas. There's a
That is
lot of great professionals there that are not professionalized just because they don't know where to start, they don't know where to go. So I want to create a space where in the area of education, these people they know that, okay, I can go to these people and they will help me out.
mm-hmm.
And I have this very simple vision of, um, if we have this space where we can pull people up, you know,
Mm-hmm.
whenever these people are up, they're gonna be helping to pull us up again, and then we can
Right,
help to pull them up again, and then they can help to pull more people up.
right,
So I feel like it's just literally a matter of creating this space.
right.
But for doing that, there's a lot of steps that we need to do before we are able to create this whole platform. But I feel like we are slowly getting there.
Yeah. That is so interesting, and I really do think that we're in an era where the creative class is the the kind of people that will slowly take over the world. There is a lot of literature about that, and creativeness is also very much linked to this aspect because, as you said, a lot of people, especially young people in this generation, they have so many ideas, and not only creative ideas, but most of the time I feel, especially if I think about people I talk to, ideas that are backed up with something more meaningful, an impact, whether social or cultural. And I think there aren't that many spaces where people can actually do that, or they lack the tools to actually do that, because you can have a great idea, but you might not know where to start. So having a project like this that can give you the opportunity and the tool, and also the where a space where you can confront yourself with other people and share ideas, and get bigger and get better together, and as you said, help each other. It's really incredible. And so
Yeah,
I
yeah,
I saw
it's
that you
exactly
had
what you're saying.
yeah, I saw that you had many amazing guests until now, and I was wondering also, just a personal curiosity, but how did you find these people to interview? Because in my case, for example, I'm starting with people that I know, that are my friends, and that I think have very interesting stories to tell others that can inspire other people. And how did you start? For example, in the case of the latest project, Talk the Change,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
Uh, how did you meet them?
Yes, so that's a good question actually, and it's a bit of a challenge sometimes, but it's usually by asking around mostly because we and especially us, like from the place that we met from AFS, we
Hmm.
know a lot of people from a lot of places.
Right.
So um, I always start from there. So this is where I start. Like I ask friends and I go like, okay, do you know someone that could talk about this topic? And usually people either send me one good friend that they have, or they send me like, okay, I follow this page and I follow this person. So and I'm also checking, because it's hard if I mean if I go after someone that is like a million, 2 million followers on Instagram, this person probably not gonna answer.
Right,
Or if they do, they're probably gonna charge or something like this.
right,
But if I go after someone that is like growing up their business also now, they're growing up their ideas now, so they're also in the starting point. They are trying to find spaces where they can share their ideas and their thoughts.
right,
Then I think we can mutually help each other. So I
right.
try to find these people on Instagram also and other social medias, and I just message them like, "Hey, what's up? I have this project idea. I like what you're doing. Would you be interested in collaborating like this and that?" And like I've been getting great answers so far.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
I feel
And
like people are always open to like people if they are passionate about what they're doing, they will be open to talk about it.
yeah,
Always.
yeah, absolutely. And that is really, really interesting. How did so to go back to the one of the previous questions, where do you see yourself? So you want to professionalize, you want to create an organization, and what what kind of impact do you think, or do you wish to have on society or on the community?
That's a good question. um, where do I see myself and what kind of impact I want to leave? So I feel like this goes very deep actually, but ever since I was very young, or ever since I can remember, actually, I am a person that I've been asking questions. This is something that I've always done ever since, like, a little kid, like 4 years old. My mom said that I would go to her like, "Hey, mom, is God real? What is, like, what are we doing here?" So I always had this curiosity, and because of that, I grew up as a very introspective person.
Hmm.
I feel like this had two sides of it. A good side because it brought me to where I am today, I think. But a bad side was that it made me, I was like almost forced by myself to deal with a lot of problems and issues that I had inside of me.
Right.
So I always had to like this inner work,
Hmm.
I've been doing with like self improvement and inner work ever since like I can remember actually. So I've been through a lot of ups and downs in life, and I realized one very important thing. I think that was the key thing that changed everything for me, and it's still inspiring me to today. Which is at some point in my teenage years, I was like in a very bad place, and I realized like a click that I could change, and things could be better, and things could change, and they did. I did. I literally reevaluated who I was, changed who I was, and started to become more in tune with what I actually who I actually was. Like I started to break down barriers that I built when I was like because of some childhood trauma or whatever.
Hmm.
So like because I saw like how like it takes a lot of work, but it's not that hard and it's not impossible, you know. And ever since that moment, I was like, okay, I want to help people do that. Also, I want to bring this to the world. This is what I want to bring to the world. I want to inspire people. I want to, I don't know, like create projects that can help others. I want to do something that can prove to people that hey, if I can do it and a lot of people can do it, I also think you can do it.
Hmm.
So if you ask the question like where do I want to be in the future, where do I see myself? I see myself doing exactly what I'm doing now, hopefully with more reach. Just
Right.
hopefully just being able to spread the message to a larger group of people and just share with everyone a very simple message, which is, hey, if it's bad now, I'm sure that it can get better, and show them how it's possible to do.
Yeah. That's the way you said it. You said you were always very introspective, and you said it's a good thing, but also a bad thing. But regarding the bad thing, I mean, of course, the more you dig deep inside you, you know, the weirder and, also deeper the things you find. Also in a bad way, of course, but I think it's always a better option than just ignoring it and pushing it down and then risking that these kind of things will pop up anytime in your everyday life. So I think it's always very wise and also healthy to kind of look at it. If I'm feeling something bad, if I'm feeling something hurtful, if I'm feeling sad or depressed or angry, also, it's always so important to actually listen to it rather than just, nah, it'll go away. It won't go away. It'll just get bigger and bigger until you explode. So I was also
Exactly.
curious, if I'm not getting into to a personal topic, but this walk that you did, this process, did you do it on your own by yourself, or did you also talk to a professional?
Yeah, that's a good and important question. Um, so I majority of it I walked alone, and but I mean not alone because I have a lot of mentors, that or people that I get inspired by, and even if they don't know or I don't know them personally, or it's just like like someone that I see on internet or some friend or some family member, like I have a lot of people that I get inspired about. But for 2 years of my life, I also did look for professional help in this darker moment when I was like in my teen years, so from 14 to 16, which was also a period of time that was moving from Brazil to Portugal, so it was like very hard.
Right, because it's
Um,
already the teenage years are a transition, a very
yeah,
complex one. So I can't imagine just even getting another transition in life, just
exactly. It wasn't easy at all, and I did get a help from
moving for sure.
professional psychologists, and it was the best decision I ever made. Actually, it was a great decision, and I 100% advise it to everyone that like it's facing like a hard moment. And a very good disclaimer that I think it's important to do here is like, okay, you went to a psychologist once and you hated it or it was not good for you, go look for another professional, because the profession itself is amazing. Sometimes you just didn't find the right professional for you. So I feel like it helped me a lot, and it helped me clarify a lot of things, and a lot of practical things. But mostly, what she was doing, she was being a mirror,
Hmm.
someone that I could talk and share my thoughts and my very deep, profound thoughts, and she was not judging. She was just listening and trying to guide the process. So that was very, very helpful.
Yeah. The job, the work of a psychologist is not to give you answers. It's just to actually it's to ask you questions.
Yeah,
Thought-provoking questions, questions that make you also challenge your views on life, or to make you understand yourself a bit better, because we're living inside this body, but we're not really able to actually understand a lot of it. For example, I had so since you're opening up, I'm also opening up. I think it's only fair.
Thank you.
during more or less the same years. So during my teenage years, 14, 16, I also had a very, very dark moment in my life. My dad was very sick, and he was always in the hospital, and I was worried about him. But also at the same time, as teenagers aren't really good at communicating feelings, and they're quite
Yeah.
selfish. So I've always felt this contrast between what I wanted to make him feel, loved and listened to and cared for. But at the same time, it was so hard to see a person so sick, that I was too sad to be able to comfort him, So I kind of pushed away, and I'm not gonna dig in the whole story, but this is just to say that sometimes the emotions we feel, for example, I might feel very angry or frustrated, and I also did how do you call that, like I was followed by a psychologist, and it's always also important to make you understand that what you're feeling is not necessarily what you think you're feeling. So that anger was actually sadness, which put on a costume and became, anger. So, as you said, it's like a mirror, a mirror with better eyesight, so it's like you don't have glasses, you look at yourself in the mirror, but you don't really see exactly what's going on. And talking to a professional, then you're looking at yourself, but with a clearer view. So absolutely, I think
And
that's
also without the self judgment that we have towards
yeah,
ourselves. I think
yeah.
that's a big difference.
Yeah. And it's also interesting because, sometimes we read these quotes on Instagram or, on the internet, which are very Instagram friendly, so very simple, very easy to, to quote, but also very true. So I read one the other day that said, would you talk to your best friend the way you talk to yourself, right?
Yeah,
And that is
yeah.
so powerful because it might happen sometimes. For example, I don't know, you went on a date, and then after the date, you're like, oh no, he of course he didn't like you. Of course he thought you were boring or not interesting. And then you're like, if my best friend told me about the date, would would I reply to her that way? Would I say to her those things? I would
Not at
never
all.
do that. So why? I mean, we're the first one who we're supposed to, love each other, but we're oftentimes the least, like the last one who do that. Um, but why do you think that is?
That's. I mean, I love this quote. I already knew it, and I continuously repeat this quote like when I'm trying to help a friend or something. Like it's. I think it's a very important one, and I feel like this comes from the lack of self awareness that we have. Like it's a we are not taught to have self awareness in general, and we are taught to respond to stimuli that happens from outside and just react to things, never to act on things very consciously. Like we're not taught about in school. Usually, our parents don't teach us about that, and I feel like this the importance of positive self-talk. It's completely underestimated, and
Yeah,
if this is the question, just take a notice, and it's very easy. Just notice your thoughts and compare them to, like, would you let anyone else talk to you like that? And the answer probably is going to be no a lot of times.
yeah,
So this was one of the things that I discovered, and I continuously, it's not like oh, you learn about it and boom, all the bad self talk can disappear. No, it's not like
right.
that. But whenever
But
it
it's
comes nowadays,
training.
I just it's a training, yeah. And whenever it comes nowadays, I just I see it, I acknowledge it, but I just don't put energy into it. I'm just like, okay,
Right.
yeah, this is, like using your example, oh, I went on a date and then I'm like, okay, but she probably think I was boring, and then
Yeah.
automatically I nowadays I automatically go like, but maybe she think I wasn't, maybe she think I was very funny. You know,
Yeah.
I just try to like, okay, but hey, because the thoughts they come, they will come,
Yeah.
and it's. I think it's our job to be conscious about them and not believe in them 100%.
Yeah. And also, I think it's very important when these intrusive thoughts come into mind to really detach them from their emotion, because sometimes, okay, there's a thought. In this case, oh, she surely thought, or he surely thought I'm very boring, okay? Which is very attached to a negative and critical impression of ourselves. So probably another thing that we can do is, okay, these thoughts come to mind, it's inevitable, but let's detach them from the negative aspect. Okay, it's just a thought. It doesn't
Yeah,
imply any kind of truth, it doesn't imply any kind of criticism. Okay, it's a thought like another one.
exactly.
uh,
Don't judge it and don't put energy into it. Just
exactly, just
let it be.
yeah, let it be. And also, I think it's very important. So as you said, it's true, we're not no one taught us how to understand ourselves. And also, not I think it's important not only to connect to what we're thinking and to actually, acknowledge it, but also to what we're feeling, because it's always so underrated. I mean, I have so many friends I'm thinking of who oftentimes have maybe a stomach ache or a headache, and they're just like, yeah, I probably just, ate not a very good snack, or yeah, I just probably slept not well last night. But actually, if you go look at it, because I've had the chance to talk to them a little bit, it's often linked to something that is more psychological than physical.
Yeah,
That is
yeah,
so important. And we don't even notice. For example, I've had a time in my life where I would always feel very nauseous, and I didn't know why. And I was like, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, my stomach is just, I don't know, it just changed. And
yeah.
I actually went to the drugstore and got myself a little natural, like little pills made of ginger, and it was supposed to make your nausea go away. Only after a few months that I changed a situation in my life, I realized, wow, it was that
Yeah.
situation. But not until I got out of it did I realize, oh my God, it wasn't just my stomach, just randomly. It was actually because I was hanging out with a person who wasn't really good for me. But I didn't make the link. I was like,
Your
okay,
body
I'm
was
hanging
telling you
out
that.
with this person. I have, I feel nauseous, but those were two completely different things. I didn't even think about connecting them. And it's so important to really take notice to what we're feeling and what we're, feeling not only emotionally, but also physically.
Yeah, yeah. I think so too. And it's a great link that you made there. It's because I'm talking again about things that we lack and in our educational system and growing up. We are mostly lacking emotional intelligence to
Mhm.
ourselves and to others. Like
Yeah.
we cannot understand our own emotions, we cannot understand other people's emotions, and then connected to that and this attachment of emotions becomes what you're saying. Like emotions and everything that I feel like it's a very important thing that I learned, and it makes a lot of sense for me. It's that everything is literally connected. We cannot detach. Like you cannot detach emotion from body, from soul, from it's all one thing. It's all one thing, and we are just giving different names for things, but it's all the same. It's us, the human being, and I feel like there is a lot of books that we can read, like either like spiritual books or either like profession and science books that will link emotions to physical diseases and physical pain and physical problems. And I've been through a similar situation that you're saying right now, like my stomach not being okay. I went to the doctors, and like I thought I was allergic to milk. I wasn't. I thought I was allergic to like gluten. I wasn't. I did a lot of exams and none of them, nothing, like literally nothing was working. I was like, I don't know, my stomach is just broken, maybe. I don't know what's going on. And then eventually, I was like, I read an article that was talking about this connection. I was like, okay, maybe let's think about it. And I did some introspection, and eventually, I found the roots, and I was like, okay, yeah, that was it. And I
That was
changed
it.
it, and it's
And
working.
I'm interesting. Did it go away when you realized what it was connected to? Like when you realize,
Not
oh,
not
it's this situation that's making me feel anxious, and this has consequences on the way my body feels. Did it get better at that point?
yeah, it got better just because of realizing it. But then it's like it's not like it didn't go away. Then
Hmm.
I had to deal with the situation, and I had to
Of
like,
course,
okay, this is it. And again, the process, it's the inner work, and it's the continuous journey, that I think like I always had it, and I always will. And I think it's a beautiful journey, though. I heard a quote once that was like, and I love this quote. I don't remember the quote exactly, but it's like, we have one, like, from what we know, we have one life. Like, maybe we have another one, maybe we don't. We don't know 100% for sure. But as long as we know we have this one, right? So we better try to make it as the best we can. And for that, like, okay, professionally, we better try. Like, socially, we better try. But inside of us, there's a lot of things inside of us that we better try to improve. We should try to improve. We should try to understand. And I think it's this what we are saying right now. It's this journey that it's a continuous journey. It's never gonna be over. Like, I don't think there is even the most amazing monk, Dalai Lama itself. I am pretty sure that Dalai Lama has problems too, and he has to
of
work with
course,
his or her problems. So it's
of
a
course.
journey.
Yeah, and sometimes people just are just like, yeah, but I don't really understand how life works, or there are so many things that don't make sense. So why putting an effort in it if there are so many things that are going the wrong way, if there's so much injustice, why making an effort? We're gonna die anyways. The thing I always reply to them is, okay, it's true, we might not know what is the ultimate meaning of life. A lot of things might not make sense. There are a lot of injustices, okay, but precisely because for what we know, we only have one life. It's like playing at a game, okay? You don't
Yeah.
know you're winning. You don't know, you don't know why you're playing because you didn't ask to play, because we didn't ask to be born. So, but you're playing. The only thing that you know is that you're playing. So just have fun with it. I mean,
Yeah.
you might not know why you're playing, but you're still playing. So why not enjoy it as much as possible, and why not making it one of the funniest, most, incredible games you've ever played at? I mean, why not? And then, I mean, one thing that is certain is that we will all die anytime, sooner or later. So, I mean, at least have fun before that, no?
Yeah.
Like, make the
And
most of it.
it's
And, it's not just something for the ego to have fun, because I have to enjoy life. I think the best part of really enjoying life and really, you know, make it worth it is to really make also other people happy. And we go back to the idea of your project and everything you're doing.
I 100% agree with what you're saying. There is this sentence from a philosopher that it's one of my mentors also. No, there's a question here, but then
Yeah.
I can read it soon. But just like this sentence is it's from Alan Watts. I don't know if you know him,
Yeah.
but it's a great guy. And he says that humans suffer because we take too seriously what the gods made for fun.
Yeah.
And he also goes into this idea of life being a play, and we should of course taking things seriously, but take them as seriously as we take a game. Like when you play a game, you take a game seriously,
Exactly.
but the
Yeah.
ultimate goal that you have there is to have fun, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like it's a very interesting concept that I take with me, and I realized also, and it's something that everyone can see. Like just help old lady to cross the street, you're gonna feel better. Like
Exactly.
help your little brother to do his homework, you're gonna feel better.
Yeah.
So a very simple trick, like our mind works like that, like a very simple way to feel better and to feel happy is helping others. So it's a
Yeah.
very easy thing.
And because the feeling of gratitude that we feel also from the other person, even just a smile, or like when you enter a cafe and you just order, a coffee or an espresso, and it's just like, hi, good morning, thank you so much for your coffee, oh, it's amazing, it tastes delicious. Even those small things, those little acts of gratitude, they make a huge difference, because they might seem small, but during the day, those little, oh, thank you so much for doing this, or, oh, wow, I actually think that is amazing what you did up there, or, oh, I really think that your idea is so interesting, tell me more about it. Feeling others, making others feel heard and making others feel appreciated has a huge impact. I think it seems like a paradox, but it has a greater impact on yourself than on the.
100%. It's every selfless act is a little bit selfish in itself
Yeah.
also,
Have you,
and
do you,
it's okay.
yeah,
The
have you
question?
seen, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, let's read
Can
it.
you put it again? Yeah. So is it actually true? It's not thought, or is it a thing that works? Right? Not only this, also understood software. Yeah. Um, so it's if I understood the question, it's like it's like we are not actually taught like these things in our
Emotional
lives,
intelligence. Yeah.
emotional intelligence. Yeah, I feel like it's so the question is two parts, right? So the first one is that yes, I feel like it's the thing. It's not because it's like you were saying before, it's an exercise, right? You can exercise this, you can train these things. Of course, like some people, they will be born like with a predisposition of being more self-aware and more like introspective, and some people will be born like less. Same way as like education, like we have like different ways of teaching people, and maybe one person will learn better through experience, maybe another person will learn better through seeing others doing. Um, but all of these differences don't change the fact that whatever you want to try, you try over and over and over and over again, you're gonna get better. Even it's like maybe I get better faster than you, but like we all gonna be going at our own pace, like beyond. So I feel like it's something that we should definitely teach kids, like as growing up, and the importance of being self-aware. Just who are we and what are we doing? Like the thing is like this question doesn't need to have answer. It's just the question itself that it's important. It's not like there's no final answer for it. It's just like asking this question and like all the ramifications that this question might have. I think it's already enough.
Yeah. And I think there is a way of teaching emotional intelligence. There is a way of, especially even young children, there are so many possible ways where you can teach that self-awareness or even a deep reflection. Even with very, very young children, you can put it as as maybe a game, or okay, let's create a moment, everyone, let's listen on the floor, let's put on some music, and everyone, I don't know, put your hands on your heart and listen to it, for example, if I'm thinking about really babies. And then slowly growing up, of course, adjusting the way we teach that, but really like underlying the importance of listening to ourselves and to our emotions and be in contact with them, and don't reject them and don't judge them. And it also, the fascinating thing is that when we make someone work on themselves, on getting better, Of course, the whole community, the whole society will benefit from it.
Or-
If I don't judge myself, if I have self love, how would I like? It's not possible. If I have self compassion, if I understand really what accepting my thoughts and my emotions means, how will I judge another person on the street? How can I be angry at someone if I understand, if I develop empathy, if I develop, of course, an emotional intelligence in general? And
Yeah.
that is so important and so underestimated.
Yes, totally. And it's like you were saying, it's not a hard thing to do, to like introduce this kind of teachings and this kind of works with within school or like within like outside of school, and just like like you're saying, being gradually becoming more complex. It's not a it wouldn't need a necessarily big change in society for those things to start happening. It's just
Yeah,
like 1 hour, one class per week to address this kind of things, and
exactly.
then different kind of games, different kind of like activities. It's very easy. And what you were saying, because you were saying like if you change one person, of course the whole society will benefit from it. This is like there's that huge quote, and I don't know if it's I don't know who said it, but it's the change starts from within, and once you change yourself, you change the world, or something like this. And this is why I also love quotes so much. Like I love, like you know this, I guess, because they exist for one reason. Like whenever something is being repeated over and over and over again,
Yeah,
and it's like especially those quotes are like millennia old. Like there is a reason why they are there, and we should
yeah.
listen to them. And like, okay, so like there's this saying that is saying that if I change myself, I will change the world. What does that mean? What is like if you go deep, you're gonna understand. Like, okay, there is a meaning behind it.
Yeah. And I'm thinking, you talked about millennial old quotes. I mean, what probably one of the most famous ones is know thyself, right? It was
Yeah,
written on the temple in Delphi in Greece, like in really ancient Greek times. And in Greek is actually gnotiseuton, which means know yourself. And it is so simple and yet so powerful. Like it really encloses everything that we've talked about until now. Like
and
you
we
really
still
have
didn't get it. Like as a global community, like this quote is
yeah,
being there for so many years, and we still didn't get it.
that is so true. Maybe because it's probably one of the scariest thing to do. As we said earlier, it's so hard. First of all, it takes effort, it takes time, it takes energy, and it takes, I think, also a lot of courage, because you have to dig deep to really know yourself. You have to face your darkest side. You have to face your childhood traumas. You have to face the fact that you have some, negative thoughts about yourself, or some, certain ideas about life that don't really serve you, or some ways you behave with people that aren't really good for yourself or for society. So you really have to question yourself. You have to really change a lot also of your beliefs. And it's so hard, once you grew up, after you've grown up with, certain ideas, certain values, and certain behaviors. After 30 years of life of living with those behaviors and those ideas and those values, it is so hard to change them, right? Because we don't want, as human beings, we don't want to feel unstable. And doing that work of challenging all of those is making us feeling unstable. And we don't want to do that. We want to feel safe, and our beliefs, our belief system is making us feel that we get it, we got this, and we
Let's
we
keep
have all
going.
of
Let's
it.
keep moving forward. Yeah.
Yeah, that we have some strong, pavement to walk on, that we're not. And so it's probably because of that, because it's so hard. It's so simple but so hard to do.
I think so. I think that's a very huge reason. It's like we were saying, it's a collection of a lot of reasons. But I think it's because we're not encouraged to do this. Also, I feel like it's I mean, nowadays people are getting more and more encouraged. Like I don't know, I feel like our generation is a generation that's like questioning a lot and
Yeah.
asking a lot of important questions. And like mental health, for example, is been on the spotlight for some years already, and people are like more and more like, hey, this is important. This is important. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about that. So I feel like it's maybe slowly getting better, but I feel like this is one of the big reasons. And inside of the like um, spiritual world and like a spiritual work, there is like a thing that they call shadow work,
Hmm.
and it's kind of exactly what you were saying now, which is looking inside of yourself and understanding things within yourself that you don't necessarily like,
Hmm.
or you don't even know knew that they were there. So things that
Exactly.
you were like, oh, like I am a jealous person. Like I didn't know that, or
Yeah.
like
Where did this come from?
exactly. So it's and they call it shadow work, and I think it's beautiful. One of the reasons why they call it shadow work is because they say that if you're not aware of something, your consciousness cannot put light into it. So whenever you become aware of it, when you're looking at it, you're putting light into the shadow. And what happens when you put light into the shadow? It disappears, right?
Disappear. Yeah.
So I feel it's a beautiful comparison because it's exactly that. Like it is hard to look at the darkest side of us, but
Hmm.
just by looking at it and like, okay, I have this side of myself. The,
Right.
the, the thing itself will already like become less just by acknowledging it. And then it's the process, of course. But
Yeah.
it's not an easy thing.
Yeah. Even
Like
because there's no way around it, right? I mean, you
yeah,
are that way
you
at a
are.
certain point in your life. So just acknowledge it and then work on what you don't like and work
You
also
might
on what
deny
you
it.
like to make it even better. There's really no way around it. I mean, you can ignore it, but how do you evolve that way? How do you understand yourself that way? How can you improve?
I feel the same. Like and I understand this is not an easy thing for a lot of people. And from no points I want to make it sound easy, or I want to make it like everyone should just like wake up tomorrow morning and start to improving themselves. I feel like a lot of people may not have the time, or they feel like they don't have the time for doing that, or they already have so much trouble that it's not easy for them
Right.
to start digging into this trouble. And I feel like it's different from person to person. But from my point of view, my own perspective, and from like the life that I had before, the life that I'm living nowadays, and the life that I know that I will be living in the future also, it's I feel like it's an important part of life to know yourself and to work on
Yeah.
yourself. I feel it's crucial.
Yeah. But so I have a question. We said that especially younger generations are more and more interested and aware about certain topics, the importance of mental health and such and such. But at the same times, it seems that we're living always more and more superficial lives in terms of rhythms, and we're always running, we're always doing things, we're always there's very few time that we can actually spend digging deeper and just stopping life and listen to ourselves. So how do you think these two aspects can go together? Mm,
Yeah, it is something that sounds like contradictory, right? If you like think about it in that way, but I feel like it's a learning curve. I feel like it's a learning curve, and our because it's very easy to like turn the TV nowadays, or just like go on the news website or go on Twitter, which is like a place where there's but it seems like the world is ending if you go on Twitter sometimes. And I feel it's very easy to see like the bad, and to feel like we are like not getting better, we're actually getting worse. I think it's
mhm.
it's it's an easy impression that we can have. But then on the other side, if you dig deeper and you go for looking for the right things, we can also see that we are actually getting better in a lot of points. There's a lot of things that are improving, and it's for example, youth was never as engaged into civic rights and civical things as nowadays. Like never before this happened. And for example, very simple thing like a kid nowadays, like in the most poor country, with an iPhone, can have like way more access to information than the president of the United States had like 60 years ago.
Right,
So it's
right.
like it's simple things that we can just like, if we take a look and we're like, okay, because technology plays a huge role in it, I feel.
Yeah,
But like we're kids, I think, still trying to learn what to do with technology.
yeah,
And I think this is one of our biggest challenges nowadays, is to understand what the internet is capable of. Like the internet's changing again, like going from Web 2.0 to Web 3.0, and like what is that going to be, and like what is that going to mean? Like we just got acquainted with like social media, and now they're saying that's going to be metaverse, and like what's going
yeah,
on. But I feel like it's a hard challenge for us because like things are moving faster than I think we can adapt.
yeah,
Um, but I feel like there is, like, again, like we were saying before, I feel like there is no choice. There's not much of a choice now. It's like because technology and the world is gonna keep moving forward. It's gonna keep moving forward, and we cannot stop it. So we better try to understand it better and to adapt on things. But I feel like it's a double-edged sword. Like if we
yeah.
know how to use it, then we can do like beautiful and amazing things, such as this podcast that you are creating right now. But if we don't know how to use it, we're just gonna
Right.
be aimlessly scrolling on
Just
Instagram or
scrolling. Yeah, and also now
right.
that I think about it, the fact that this society is moving so fast is also one of the things that caused this generation to pay more attention to certain topics. The fact that we're actually realizing how stressful life can be and how fast all changes and goes, and we're kind of really we're pushed under this huge pressure on us. And so maybe that's when we realized, especially as a generation, that things have to change, that we can't always keep up with the pressure, with the aspiration, with the ambition, with the comparison with others. And we need to take a moment to just actually relax and take a deep breath. And so probably, it's not necessarily a bad thing, these very fast lifestyle, because if we didn't reach this point, we probably could have lived just like the past generations, just not really stressing the importance of mindfulness,
Exactly.
of meditation, of slowing down. Because if you already have a life that is not so fast, you don't really need that. We do need that now because life is going so fast, and technology
Yeah.
can play a huge part, from the applications on the phone where you can do meditation, guided meditation, to podcasts, to YouTube videos, to also Netflix now started a mindfulness course, like yeah,
Oh,
course.
didn't know that.
So
I will check it out.
yeah, it's yeah, it can be very powerful.
It is, and it's like you were saying, I have this thought already, and I think I already had this conversation sometimes. What I might say here might sound like polemic or like contradictory, but it's bear with me if someone is listening and like try to see my point of view. Um, is it terrible that we got to the point where we got with the like climate disaster, and like the way that we are dealing with the world, and like all the bad things that we created, are they terrible? They are terrible, right? But we nowadays, like, we only understood, like, collectively. Of course, some people are saying about it and talking about it like for many years already, but no one was
Right.
listening to them. And we only are able to listen to those things nowadays to understand the importance of all of it because we got where we are. You know,
Yeah.
like we are and I mean, like, of course, it's when I say it, it's like mostly like rich countries, you know, and like privileged countries. Like
Mm.
privileged countries now, they have so much comfort, and like that, you know, once you got to this level of comfort, you gotta start thinking about other problems. You have to start creating problems, right? So you have to start like going deeper and deeper. We have this saying in Brazil, like you know, like especially people from the favelas,
Mm.
that they say like, I don't have time for depression, you know, because they have to wake up at 4 in the
Right.
morning, go to work, and they come back at home like at 2 in the morning, and they sleep like 2 hours a day. Like it's like I don't have time for depression,
Right.
but it's not like they don't have it. Probably they do. It's just that they don't have the time and the comfort and the moment to address these topics.
Right.
And as a society, I feel like the privileged countries mostly, but like a lot of places, like Europe, like a lot of uh, countries, they reach this level where people can start like gradually to ask these questions. You know, like, am I feeling depressed? Huh. So how do I deal with it? So am I feeling like, you know, and then slowly start to address these situations. And for example, the pandemic, I feel like there's a lot of downsides to the pandemic. It's terrible, but at the same time, it stopped the world. You know, like I feel like the world stopped for a while,
Yeah.
and everyone was able to like, oh, like, what is going on? You know, there's like, and we are able to see the results nowadays. Like a lot of new things flourish from the pandemic. Like a lot of new
New
projects, a
ideas.
lot of new ideas.
Yeah.
Why? Just because people stopped. They were like, hold
Yeah.
up, let me think. You know, like they were like continuously moving in an autopilot, and then the virus made everyone stop, and everyone's like, what am I doing with my life? And they
Yeah.
asked this question. You know, so I feel like
They
it's
were
they
forced
are exactly, they were forced. Yeah.
to reflect on their life. And actually, a lot of people, it's crazy to see how many people actually quit their job. That is
Yeah.
impressive. So that makes you really think, so if this pandemic didn't hit, were you just gonna live your life hating your job, and just because that's the way things were, and you really didn't even have time
Probably.
to think about a solution, to think, can I really actually quit my job? You just kept going and going and going. And so that
If you
is so
see, like, not only just a quick side note, not only professionally, but like also a lot of couples split
yeah,
during the pandemic. Why? Because they realized that they actually didn't like the person that they were living with.
right.
Like, after many years, you know, like it's exactly what you're saying. Like, if this whole thing didn't happen and you didn't stop to think, would you live your whole life with someone that you don't actually like
Yeah.
just because it's, you know, moving and
Just
moving and moving?
yeah, it's already like this. I mean, what can you really do about it? There's nobody, yeah, there wasn't even time to think about it. Of course, the pandemic has completely changed the world, but also the perception of people's lives, also with war. You know, I think every great event or catastrophe really makes you think, especially
Yeah.
once we feel closer to. Of course, wars have always been, you know, a thing in the world, but things that really, I mean, I think it also goes back to how our brain is, you know, projected. Even though we know that there are people starving in the world, as far as this doesn't necessarily impact ourselves, we kind of
Mhm.
detach to it. So
Yeah.
there have always been many problems in the world, but only with the pandemic, so only with things that we really felt on our daily lives, were we actually able to question so many things, to question the possibility, you know, to go out of our house and to get food. For example, in Italy, we had a lockdown for 3 months. We couldn't even put our nose out of our house. I mean, sometimes in some rare occasion, maybe once a week to go grocery shopping, but that was about
Yeah.
it. And so, yeah, but also with war, you know, it's such a pity that we only realize certain things, the importance of solidarity, the importance of, you know, freedom of speech, freedom to even walk outside, only when these huge things happen. but at the same time, we, as you said, we needed it, because hopefully we realize certain things that will make the world better. And
Exactly.
I think there are things that really are proving that we're going in that direction. I'm quite optimist. I don't know if it's an illusion that I have. I don't know if, but
I feel
I
like both
do feel
both are
optimistic.
correct. I feel like both are correct. Like if you are pessimist or if you're optimist, both are correct because it's two possibilities of the future. I feel like the future can either be great or it can be terrible. Like it's literally like both possibilities are on the table. It mostly depends on us and what we decide to do. I choose also to be an optimistic, and I choose to see the better side, and I choose to believe that there are things that we can do in individual level, collectively, and there are things that we can improve and things that we can change. And it's I think it's a like you were saying, it's the way that our brains work. But for everything in the universe, right, we can only see one side because of the other. Right? Like
Right.
we can only know what light is because we know what dark is. We can only know what heat is because of cold. Like so, like we can only know what's good and what we need as a good thing for us when we know the bad.
Right.
So I feel like from time to time, like we should look at those things as like yes, like bad experiences, of course, but as educators, like what are they trying to teach us? There is
Exactly.
always a lesson that can eventually lead us to something better. Um, and this can go for everything, like like for example, you're saying like people starving, it's terrible, but like we only know it's terrible because it's there, and like how can we fix this, and how can we address the situations. And like just a very quick side note, in Brazil, what's happening like for the last years is that a lot of right-wing people, they started to speak up, and they started to like uh, share a lot of crazy ideas that we all thought that they were dead already. Like these ideas didn't exist anymore, like racist ideas, homophobic ideas, that we all thought like, yeah, like this is something that like very small people still believe in. But then in Brazil, we started to notice that no, actually, a lot of people still believe in those things,
Hmm.
and I think it's like it's a lot because of the political like moment that we are living. And like when people are saying like, "Oh, my uncle became racist," and I'm like, what I think about is like, no, it's not like your uncle became racist. Just like now you know that he is, and
Yeah.
now he feels free to say it out loud. And it's
Right.
not a bad thing. Like, is it a bad thing that he's racist? Yes, but is it a bad thing that you know it? No, because now you can choose to help him to not be that way anymore.
Exactly.
Like we need to know what's bad. We need to know. Like
Yeah.
we cannot close our eyes for that. I think
Of
we need to
course.
know what's bad because only then we can know how to improve those things.
Yeah. So, what inspires you? So, we're both optimistic, okay? We both want to make the world a better place. I really hope we succeed, but I think what counts is, also the process. So, step by step, But what inspires you to keep going, to have these, ambition in mind, to have this goal?
I think it's a lot of things actually, but some of them are. Um, First one, it's the fact that, like I said before, I know that I can get better myself, and I know that there's a lot that I can do to improve myself, and I want to share it with others. So it's a journey that I want to do it myself, and as I'm doing it with myself, I want to bring others. So, like I want to become the best version of me, and by doing that, I will automatically bring others in. So this is one of the things that inspire me. It's a selfish inspiration, as you can say.
But it's
But
also
honestly,
altruistic, so
yeah. But another thing that inspires me a lot, it's it's and it's again a little bit selfish, but I feel like it's so important and so like bizarre how powerful some small things that we can do sometimes can change a lot in someone else's life.
Mhm.
You know, and it's like a very quick example was when I gave the peace workshop for a group of like I think it was like 16 kids. They were all between 13 to 15 and 16, and like I talked about like changing your own life and taking charge of your things and like leaving the autopilot. And I was like, but did it give me a lot of work to do that? Yes, it gave me like some hours of work to design the workshop, and then I had to go there and deliver the workshop. Okay, but like in the landscape of my life, that was like this amount of time.
Of
And
course.
then after this workshop, until today, sometimes I receive messages from those kids like in Instagram, like, hey, I'm doing this because of that thing that we talked about like 4 years ago. And it's crazy to think like, and that's one of the biggest inspirations, because like sometimes something easy that I can do can be very helpful and very important for someone else.
That is so
So it's like maybe something that we say here, someone will listen, and that will be already something for that person. So
yeah.
that was an inspiration to come to this talk. It keeps going like this.
Yeah, you actually reminded me of an episode. So I was walking in the street with my dad. It was in Turin, so in the city, not my hometown, but the city I went to live in for my university. And it was the first time he came visit me. And we were walking down the streets together. And suddenly, while we were talking, he just told me, "Sorry, just give me a second." And he saw a person, a lady who was cleaning the streets. You know those people who clean the streets, who aren't really noticed, kind of
Yeah.
invisible class. And he stopped the conversation and he turned to this lady. She was an old lady, and he told her, "I'm sorry to bother you. I just wanted to really say thank you for how you're cleaning this city. It's really beautiful, and I really appreciate your work." And then we just kept walking, but you saw the face on this lady, she just brightened so much and she lightened up. And you could really tell that no one had even paid attention to her or to her work, because especially those jobs who are very humble, oftentimes are the people who are less noticed. I walk and I don't even see you. So
Just
only the
background
fact that
image.
someone takes the time to just look at you in the eyes and tell you thank you for your job, you could see
Yeah.
the difference and the impact that you made on that person. And probably the best thing about that is that that person will most likely go back home with a huge smile on her face and probably, I don't know, cook a delicious dinner for her child. I don't know. And the child will be so happy
Yeah.
because her mommy made his favorite dish, and he will. So it's a chain, and
The
it's
butterfly
a
effect.
yeah, yeah. And so I think in my case, what inspires me is is precisely that. It's basically the same thing. So even with small things, but try to make other people's day better. And I'm actually a little bit emotional right now because as I told you, my dad has been sick for a very long time. He passed away 2 months ago, and but I still have this image of him, of such a powerful person who was suffering a lot, who has a lot of problems, health problems and also depression at a certain point, but he was always so kind and grateful. And he showed that every single time he could, to every single people he met, even though he had his own problems, even though I think he would have had all the reasons to be mad at people or at the world. He would have had every reason, not to be kind, which is not true actually, but you know what I mean. He was
Yes, of
always,
course, of course.
it's so easy to get frustrated when something's going wrong in our life. And for me, him was such a huge inspiration in the way, we behave with people. And, in my small little world, I try to do the same. As I told you, even just
Mhm.
I get a coffee in a bar and I make sure I enter the bar with a huge smile on my face. And I make sure to make the person who's cooking me the croissant or the cappuccino, to make them feel seen and heard, and to be really grateful
Appreciate it.
for that. Yeah, I think that's really what inspires me right now. um,
I think we can all see the effect that he had on you. Like, that the person that you became, and like the things that you believe. So like, even though, like, like what you're saying, even though if all the little good deeds that he did with many different people didn't affect them that much, just by you seeing him doing it,
yeah,
it was already great on
yeah.
you. And then of course you're gonna do a lot of great deeds now because of that. So
And
it's beautiful.
yeah,
It's a beautiful cycle.
yeah, that's the powerful thing. That and it also worked the other way. So if I have a bad day, if I'm angry, if I'm frustrated, and I treat people the way I feel, of course they're gonna have a bad day and they're gonna behave that way with other people. So and it takes, sometimes it takes so little, even just a smile. It's sometimes it's a huge effort because it's easy to follow our emotion and to just dump them on other people. I get that. It's probably the easiest thing to do and the most instinctual thing to do. But if we train, it's also training, if we train
Yeah,
to
it is. It
change
is.
that anger into even just a smile, or even just, you know we don't have the
And
right to dump everything we feel on others. We have to respect them and their boundaries and their right to feel heard and to feel seen.
exactly.
So yeah, it's a good
For
practice.
me, it is a great practice, and it's all about empathy, right? It's all about like being able to put yourself in the other person's shoes. And a thing that I like helps me a lot to do that, because like you're saying, it's not easy, and some moments and some days you are not feeling good in yourself, and you feel like you don't have the energy, or you're angry, and then someone comes. Sometimes, like, I don't know, I'm angry with something at work, and then someone comes inside the room and they leave and they don't close the door, and then I'm gonna be angry about that this person didn't close the door, and I'm gonna fight with this person. So what I try to do to help me is it's an understanding that I have my shit, I have my trouble. Other people also have. Other people also have their troubles, and everyone has their troubles. Everyone. So if the lady in the cashier, like from the supermarket, is mistreating you, like she's not mistreating you because she hates you. She doesn't even know who you are. But there is clearly something in her life that is making her angry, and that's
Right.
why she's dumping it on you. So
Yeah.
my job, because I understand that on that moment, it's not to jump back on her again, like give her something different in exchange.
Exactly.
You
Give
know?
her
So
extra kindness,
exactly,
extra
extra
gratitude.
kindness.
Yeah.
There is this saying that I love, which is no matter what you do, like whatever you do, there is one thing that you can have in mind to never be wrong, which is no matter what you do, always be kind.
Yeah.
So like even if you're like doing something that sounds completely crazy, if you have like as the main motto for you to be kind on that situation, hardly you can be wrong, hardly you can be mistaken in what
Yeah.
you're doing.
And even in the case, I'm imagining a situation where maybe someone's really angry and they have to communicate. For example, the cashier is frustrated, something is going on in her life. I mean, if, or, you're talking to a friend and you might have the impulse to, reply in a very angry or frustrated way. It always helps, if you're not able to just put aside entirely what you're feeling, it's still so useful to communicate it, to say, look, I'm really sorry, but I'm feeling a little exhausted right now. Look, I'm
Honestly, I
sorry,
mean,
but I'm feeling a little bit angry. Could you just leave me a moment? Or could we discuss about this later? I mean, let's normalize acknowledging emotions and sharing them in a specific way. Because, if I'm very angry, I might not be able to completely put aside what I'm feeling. Or if I'm really sad, or something's wrong in my life, sometimes I might be able to just be kind and patient with others. Sometimes I may not be able to do that. So just being able to just communicate that in a civil way, of course, is a great step, because others not necessarily know what you're thinking or what you're feeling or what you're living in a certain moment. So just being able, in a very honest and humble way, to communicate that, it's a huge great step. And
yeah,
it's a way,
hard to
it's a
me.
great way to connect with people. Because if you just
Mhm.
answer me in a bad way, I might think, oh, look at this asshole, like what does he want? And I might do the same. But if you tell me, listen, look, I'm quite angry right now, can we discuss it later? I immediately empathize, immediately.
Exactly, exactly. It's a very simple thing, right? It's a very simple thing, like to just be real to what you're feeling and be true to your feelings. Let others also know that. And I feel like
Yeah.
this is an important thing, and it's a challenge to myself. It's something that I know I am aware that I'm not super good at it, and it's something that I have to work on. It's exactly that. It's to be able to acknowledge my own feelings to others. And I think it's a life-changing thing. And there's like this funny story, like a quick story from one of the host kids that came. I think she came from Italy, actually, here to Portugal, and she was living with a family, and she was very wise for her age. She was like 14 years old, and she was like extremely wise. And one day, like this story, who told me the story was the host mom. The host mom said like she said, "Oh, I got home and she didn't do something that I ordered her to do, and I was having a bad day, so I started fighting with her, and I started like screaming, and I was very angry, and she just listened to everything I had to say. She looked me in the eyes and she said, 'Okay, mom, you are not feeling well right now, and you are angry and you are yelling. So I'm gonna go to my room, and when you're feeling better, we can talk, and I can apologize.'" And she went to her room, and like automatically the mom's just like, "Oh, yeah, you know, yeah." I like, and I think we should normalize that. Like, there are moments for everything, and it's like a lot of times. And I don't know if you saw that movie, Marriage Couple,
No.
with or Marriage. It was with
Wait, the one
whatever.
with
It's
Scarlett Johansson? Marriage
Scarlett
Story?
Johansson. Yeah,
I saw
Marriage
that. Yeah.
Story. Yeah. So like, the fight scenes that they have, like
Yeah.
obviously they say a lot of things that they don't want to say. They say
Right.
a lot of things that they don't mean. But because they're angry, because like everything is boiling, things just come out. So I
Yeah.
feel like it's
And
it's
to regret that
it's
later.
also they will regret later. So like, like I feel like and like How I Met Your Mother, Lily and Marshall, they had this thing which was whenever they were fighting and very angry, they were like,
Pause.
pause.
Yeah.
Like, let's get better, and then we can get like on this conversation again. And like people should also learn how to do that.
Yeah. And I think
Very
it
important.
also comes back to comes down to boundaries, in the case of the host, and her mom. I mean, I realize that you're in a state of mind that doesn't really allow you to think rationally and in a patient and clear way. But I'm okay. I listen to you. I accept what you say. I take it in, but at the same time, we'll discuss it when you'll be able to think
Yeah,
clearly. So I set my boundaries in a very respectful way, but it's always so important not to, be a dumpster for others people's feelings, because we can always listen to them, we can comfort them, but also there's a certain boundary that we have to make. in the case other people are angry, in the case we're angry, we have to realize that we can't do the same on others. So we have to take a
Exactly.
step back and, fight that urge to just spread it all out, and just take a step back, be humble, and, take a moment and get back to a clear state of mind. It's very important to set boundaries for others and to, give others the opportunity to set those boundaries and respect them, even especially when we're that angry or that frustrated. Because it's so hard to just pour it all out. Because, we also, I think, live in a society that, encourages us to not take anything back, say what you have to say and the right of speech, and you're the most important person in the world, so fight for your right. That is totally true. That is true. You're the most important person for yourself, not because that means that you're selfish, but without you self-loving yourself, there's nothing else. You can't pour from an empty cup. So you have to be full yourself in order to give others. So yes, you're the most important person. So you're the one who has to take care of yourself in order to take care of others. But at the same time, be mindful of others. That doesn't give you the right to, step aside to how do you say that? My English tonight is so crazy. You don't have the right to
Step on the others to
put
like a
yourself in a
stepping
higher
stone. Use others
position. Be mindful. Be always mindful of others, of their surroundings, and of your surroundings. That's so important.
I think it's yes, it's very important. It's hard to do actually, and it's the process like we were saying, and I feel like not feel discouraged if they're trying to change this and they eventually they just scream at someone and they're like, oh, this is not for me. I cannot do. No, it's a process, and the more you do, the easier it's gonna be. And I forgot what I was gonna say. You're saying like you cannot use people as stepping stones. And the last thing that you said, because I had something.
Yeah, to be mindful of yourself and of your surroundings.
Yeah. Oh, yes. So it's the thing that we were saying before, right? It's the being a little bit selfish, but selfless at the same time. It's this concept of, and I feel like we should like talking about things that we should normalize. I feel it's very important to normalize this notion that a lot of things that we do for ourselves, not selfishness. We're not being selfish people. We're just taking care of ourselves. We're just taking care of our minds. We're just taking care of our bodies.
Exactly.
Like I don't know. Like I'm not feeling well to answer to messages, and I don't answer to my friends. Like they should not be angry with me because of that. Like
Right.
because I'm taking the time to respect my boundaries, like you were saying. So I
Exactly.
feel it's very important to know and to understand this little moments that we need to change specific things, and sometimes it's very small things. That's the point, and that's why it's easy and hard at the same time, because like sometimes it's just like taking the moment to not answer messages. Maybe that's all you need to already improve a lot your mental health.
Mhm.
And I was talking yesterday with a woman, and she was saying she's like a therapist, like a holistic therapist, and she was advising people to every morning just when you wake up, take 10, 15, 20 minutes. It's not too much, 20 minutes, to just be with yourself. Don't take your phone, don't turn on the TV. Like just be with yourself and do whatever you want to do. You can be meditating, you can be going for a walk, it can be exercising, it can be stretching, it can be yoga, you can be reading, it can be playing a song, whatever it is. But just take this moment to analyze and understand yourself.
Yeah.
This is already like life changing. It's life changing
Yeah.
because a lot of us we start our days already concerned about others. We start our days, we take our phones and we're gonna answer to others, or
We
we're gonna
have to
see like the
always be
email that
available.
others send.
Yeah.
And like, what's up to us? Like, what about me? What about my time? What about my moments? So, we should always start our days with like, and maybe something I already heard this answer like, oh, I don't have time for that. Like, are you serious? Like, you don't have like 10 minutes? Like, can you wake up like 10 minutes earlier
Of
than
course.
what you usually wake up? Just like take this little moment, and it's important.
Yeah, we live in a society that actually pushes us to always be available, to always, be reachable with our phones, with technology. We always have that kind of expectation, and it's a thin line because it's so easy to be seen as selfish or as not collaborative if you, I don't know, even just for an hour don't answer your phone. Everyone's just getting angry and mad at you because you're supposed to be reachable, to be available. But yeah, it all comes down to boundaries, and you can't pour from an empty cup. I mean, I can't always be there for you because where do I find the energy from? Where do I get the patience if I don't, have all it in me? Um,
The
yeah.
right to disconnect. I think it's something that is actually being discussed nowadays as like as a right, especially in the workplace. The right to disconnect. We
Yeah.
all have the right to not be 24/7 available. It's
Yeah.
crazy actually to think that people should be 24/7
Yeah,
available.
exactly. Yeah. And also, I think, especially in Italy, I'm thinking of the role of mothers in particular. We have this myth, this society, this culture of sacrifice. So you're a good mother only if you give all of yourself to your children and you devote your life entirely to your kids and you don't think of anything else. So you stop seeing friends, you stop working in some cases, which I mean, if it's a choice, it's perfect. But that doesn't mean that if you do have a career or if you do have other things going on if you're in your life, you're not a good mother. And I think it's really linked to this discourse because not only, I mean, being totally selfless is not the only option for being a good person. You
No,
can
at
be a good
all.
person if you have that good selfish part, that good, self-loving part. So I think it's a myth, and we really have to demystify it. We really have to change this notion that you're only a good person if you don't think about yourself, if you don't do
Yeah.
anything for yourself, but you do everything only for others. It's not that way. Um, and it's really
We,
tricky, because you have to justify yourself sometimes just for making some boundaries, just for saying,
yeah.
listen, I really wish I could help you right now, but in this case today, right now, I really cannot. I'm really sorry, but I'm not in a position of being able to do that for you, whatever that is. Being able to recognize when you can and when you cannot, of course.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes, that,
yeah,
I feel like
but
it's the thing. Like we are not meant to be Jesus Christ. Like this is not like we don't have to be saints and the perfect and like the most holy person in the world. And I think it applies to everything. Like a lot of times I feel like we have this notion of I am either do it perfectly or I don't do it. Like I'm either vegetarian or I eat meat. Like there's no in between. Like I cannot reduce the
yeah,
amount of meat that I eat. No, this is not an option. I'm either vegetarian or I eat meat every day. I
yeah,
am either super selfless or I am selfish.
yeah,
And like, what about in the between? Like what about trying? What about trying it out and failing some days and getting successful in other days? It's I feel like a very much work in process. And I was reading an article a while ago, like it's about this topic of sustainability and being vegetarian and things like that. And they were saying like we don't need the whole world to be vegetarian. Like we don't need we just need everyone to reduce a little bit the meat consumption.
exactly.
And like We don't need like what is better, like a vegan vegetarian, like just like everyone understanding
Of
that,
course.
you don't necessarily need to stop and change your whole life, but
Yeah.
you need to eat meat every day, you know? And it's just like trying to find this in between. I feel like it's very hard, and I notice a lot of times like discussing with people that a lot of people they have this mentality and they don't even notice. Like for them, it's like are either like left or right. Like it's gotta be one side or the other. There is like finding in between is hard for a lot of people,
Yeah.
and I feel like it's a very very needed exercise.
Yeah, and I mean, having that very, distinct mentality between it's either this or that with no way in between makes it a lot harder for people to actually improve themselves. It's like, hiking a mountain. If you start thinking that you absolutely have to, I don't know, reach the top within 2 hours at a certain speed or not hike at all, you will never do that. It's too much. But if you take it slowly, I'll see what I can do. I'd like to get there because that's the goal. But let's see, I'll enjoy the view. I'll just take step by step and see where it takes me. A lot more people would even just start to embark in that journey
Yeah,
if the goal
definitely.
is felt and perceived as more reachable. If the goal is perceived as almost impossible, because a lot of people maybe love meat, I'm not one of them, but a lot of people do love meat. So if you tell them, look, it's either you eat meat or you never eat a single piece of meat for the rest of your life, of course, a very tiny percentage
Exactly.
of people
It
will
sounds it
try
sounds
to do
scary. It
that.
sounds like
You know, you
sounds like a
said
scary proposition.
exactly, you set unrealistic expectations. But if you say, look, just try to reduce it, you might start with eating it, I don't know, 3 times a week and maybe twice a week. And then you see and you adjust and you do whatever you can. The important thing is that, you have the best intention in mind and you do what you can do. Um, then it would be, even as a strategy, if we want to spread these awareness, the world we're living, and it's something very urgent that needs to be taken seriously. So even if we think about it strategically, like how can we get more people to act in a responsible way towards the animals, towards the planet, that's probably the best way to, try to get them involved.
I think so. I think so too. And it's like, for example, here at my home, like I cannot expect that my parents will change 100% the way of living, and just like start to recycle everything and start to like create their own products and like just buying green things and
Right.
like everything perfect and become Greta, like I cannot expect that, but
I
but
mean, that would be,
I
of
can
course,
expect
the
that.
best possible scenario ever.
Yeah,
But how
yeah, it
realistic
would.
is
It would, and some people are out there to do it, and it's amazing and it's
that?
beautiful
Of
that they
course.
are out there and they do it. But it's not for everyone, and it's like I went to them like, what about recycling? Like, why not try? And they're doing it nowadays. They do it even more than I do nowadays, which is crazy. But it's like it's just like it's a little thing. It's way better than nothing. Way better than nothing. And I have this thing that I was talking to my brother actually a while ago. We got into this conclusion that a lot of times in society, like in our history, like whenever we discover something and that is like on this side, and then like automatically some moments ago, like later, someone will discover something that is on the other side, and then these people will be fighting. But eventually, someone will come and say, "Hey, what about this?" And you can see like in every field, like science, like education, like everywhere, like there's this belief And there's this belief like contradicting this one, and then
Yeah.
someone will just combine both of them, and this is the most close to the truth.
Yeah.
So
Even in philosophy, I mean, literally everywhere. That is so true. Yeah.
it's
And
like, why not try to apply this on our lives, like on a daily basis, like just and we have this thing. I don't know if it's the same in English or not, but in Portuguese it is like you're on top of the wall, and then you don't decide which side you
mhm,
want to be, and people see it as a bad thing. And I'm like,
yeah.
why do I need to decide 100% and just like, why things need to be satisfied?
Exactly, because things change and our notions of the world change, they evolve and we evolve. So that's I think one of the best thing we can do, not be completely firm on one conviction.
Yeah.
But I think nowadays the world is so polarized. So it's either far right or far left. It's either this or that, more and more and more. And I think this has to do with the way politics is going, the way, society is going. I think a lot more people are going at the extreme, and it's very hard to find a dialogue between them. It's very, very hard. Especially I'm thinking about Italy and the Italian landscape. There's no way in between, it looks like, and people are more and more frustrated, and they don't. It's the farther you go, the harder it is to kind of find a compromise. So I wouldn't really know how to solve that situation. It's probably
It is.
something. I mean, I
It is a
think
very
it's
hard situation.
important to
Yeah.
be exposed to the other opinion. And that is
Yeah.
something that doesn't happen very often, especially on the internet, the filter bubble. So you're only exposed to what is
To
similar to
your
you,
own.
confirms, confirmation bias. You're only searching informations that confirm the things that you already think are true, and that, reinforces your belief, and, there's no escape. And I think we're in a similar situation.
Yeah.
Uh,
I
we
just
have
I
a comment.
New
New
World
World
Disorder.
Order. Yeah. Yeah.
It's yes. It's I mean, uh, it's this is what you're saying. It's a very hard situation that I feel like it's not only in Italy. Like we're seeing it more and more in a lot of places. And what I'm about to say right now, it's totally like a personal belief. I don't know, like I don't have any proof of that or anything like that, paper or an article that proves what I'm about to say. It's something that I feel that is true. It's like we are facing a time of like we're kind of cleaning ourselves. I feel like like I feel like there's a lot of things um, that thought we had solved before and we didn't.
Mm,
Like I feel like there's a lot of things like from the 2000s and 2010 and from the 90s even that we were like, yeah, we are already better than that. Like racism is not a huge thing
yeah.
anymore, and gay people they are able to get married, so there's no more homophobic. But I feel like a lot of things were under the carpet and now we're seeing them, and
Yeah.
this is giving this notion of like like people getting further and further and more polarized and polarized. But I feel like it's like a spring, like a spring, like
Mm,
it
yeah.
pushes and pushes and pushes, but eventually it has to come back. Like
Yeah.
eventually it has like there's gotta be a limit. And like, it's something that I tell as a joke always, but it's like I truly believe that if we do not kill ourselves, that's the only challenge that we actually should have. If we do not kill ourselves, we're gonna be better, because that's the only way. Like
Yeah.
we, like, you can only be wrong for some time. You cannot be wrong forever. So at some point we gotta find a better way. At some point we gotta find the middle
Yeah.
ground. It has to exist somewhere. We're gonna find it, and I feel like it's because of like it's and again, like talking, like going back a little bit to what we were saying before, that we can only see the good when we see the bad,
Hmm.
you know There is like, for example, even in good fights and positive fights, like feminism, and, like fights for like LGBT plus rights. There's people that sometimes they go beyond and they go the extra mile and they do things that does not necessarily help the fight, you
Hmm.
know. But I kind of see that like those people are also somehow necessary for us to see what not to do and what we don't want to happen, you know. So it's
Right.
it's a process that like we like like these conversations that we're having right now, this understanding that we are having right now, it's only possible because we can see that there's two sides.
Of course.
Like we can see crystal clear that there are two sides, and because of that, we can discuss and try to find the middle. Like maybe there's more and more people having this conversation on this. I hope so.
Yeah, I
And
think so. Yeah.
eventually they are gonna speak up. Eventually we have to speak up. Like
Yeah.
so I feel like it's a challenge of it's a matter of time. Do we have the time? That's the question, right? Do we have the time to like be still on this learning process? Maybe we should already have learned, but apparently we did not. So, but I am like we said before. I'm optimistic, and I feel like this is what we're doing. We're cleaning. We're cleaning a lot of like laundry and a lot of things under our carpets because we cannot move forward unless we clean this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's only possible with, dialogue and confrontation and trying to create as many spaces as possible to really, make these two extreme kind of communicate. Because
Yeah,
otherwise, if they don't even get in contact with the other side, they will never challenge anything. Um,
exactly.
yeah.
I studied as in my master's. I did like educational mediation,
Mm-hmm.
which is conflict solving and like positive resolution of conflicts. And the first thing that we learned there is that conflict is definitely not a bad thing. Conflict is a good thing, and we can only evolve through conflict. The
Exactly.
bad thing is the way that we deal with the conflict sometimes. That's the
Mm-hmm.
bad side. But
Yeah.
the conflict itself is a good thing because if there is a conflict, there is something to improve.
Exactly.
So we just gotta discuss it out. We just gotta talk about it. So I feel like we are living in a very important moment, and very important moment. Like a lot of changes will happen in the next 10 years. Like
Yeah.
the world is
So
gonna change, as we
fast.
know, like super fast. And it's the direction that is going to change. It's up to all of us. It's a crazy amount of responsibility, actually. But I feel it's the most exciting moment in your life. It's
Yeah.
like too early. Like I read it and like too early. It's a joke, but like too early for exploring the oceans, too late for exploring. No, too early for exploring the space, too late for exploring the oceans, but just in time to change everything. And I feel like this is where we are, like we are just in
Yeah.
time to like change everything that we know.
Yeah. I feel ready. I mean,
We have to be.
yeah. There's not really a way around it, is there? You can live your life and ignore so many problems, and you can totally do that, and it's your own right to do so, and just live your life in peace, however you want. But at the same time, it's very hard to ignore these changes and the feeling of this should be different. This isn't right. I really want to fight for it. Um, and I really think we're on the right track.
Yeah.
Uh, we have a comment. Guys, I was trying to interact, but you outspeeded me several times. Looking forward to meeting in the same spot with the two of you.
It's Edo, right?
Yeah. Hi,
Yeah,
Edo.
of course it is. Of course it is. I love him, and yeah, like sorry for our fast thoughts, Edo. Yeah,
So I mean, the the title of this episode, of this talk show, podcast, whatever it is what is life?
Yeah,
So, what
it
is
is.
life to you, Vinny?
What is life to me? What is love? Write the song. No. What is life? I feel like it's like that question, like the meaning of life,
Yeah.
and that no one knows how to answer. I have the answer for myself. Like it might not work for others, but I have a very specific answer for myself. And like the meaning of life or what life is, it's a game of experiences. And like you're dealt set certain cards when you're born, and you might have been dealt a great hand, you might have been dealt a terrible hand. It's That's how it goes, and like we should try to improve it so everyone is dealt like better hands from time to time. But I feel like it's all about experiencing this beautiful world that is out there as much as we can. Like and saying yes as much as you can, as long as it doesn't like interfere with your own boundaries, and going out there and trying new things. Don't be closed in a little box, because the world is beautiful. It's huge. It's huge. It's like there's so much out there, and I feel like life is about that. It's about trying, experiencing, until like at some point, at some moments, you find something that resonates, and then you just keep doing that thing. And then you just like keep doing that thing over and over again until you're tired of it.
Yeah.
And this is it. Like we don't have a long run. It's like 80 years. It's not a huge run if you think about it. We
Yeah.
are on our 20s, almost getting the 30s, and we like look back. It was fast. It was fast.
It was so
You know,
fast.
so I am pretty sure that when I'm 50, I will look back and I was like, "Fuck, it was so fast again." So for me, like what I want to do in my life and what I want to try to like meaning for me is to experience beautiful things. I want to experience the beautiful things. I want to go after them. Like I want to create the moments where something can be beautiful. Like if I'm walking somewhere and I see like there's a hill over there and the sunset's coming, I'm not gonna see the sunset from here. I'm gonna go there to see the sunset because it's gonna be an amazing experience. You know.
Right.
So I feel like it's about that. It's about like putting yourself into situations that you're gonna remember.
I totally
As
agree.
for me, it's as easy as that. It's not like, oh, the life is about understanding the universe and like, no. I mean, no, I don't think we need to go that far. It's just like
Yeah.
experience.
And even if we did, we probably wouldn't know. So, I mean, there's
Yeah,
so little information still.
I love this question. Like, what is the universe and what we are doing here? I love it, but like I love it just for the question again. Not I don't necessarily need an answer. It's just like thinking process. I feel like we are constantly seeking for answers, but we don't need to find them.
Yeah. Even
Just
because, I mean, we really can't find them. I mean, you can find them in a personal answer, that's tailored for yourself.
work
You
for
can find them
you.
in religion, you can find them, in anything you want. But at the end of the game, you won't really know what exactly life is. You won't know what death is. You don't
Or maybe
know
will.
what happens. I mean, there's no way of knowing unless you actually are at that point in your life. um, so I mean, I had my professor of social psychology at the University of Tokyo once said that even the atheists and even the super religious have to admit in the end that they're agnostic, that they can't really know. I mean, you can believe that there's a God, you can believe that there's no God, but both those people have to admit that there's no way of knowing. So I mean, you can give yourself your own answers, but at the end, I don't think that's what really matters. I mean, what matters is to have questions that really
Yeah,
make you explore, that make you wonder, that make you create and
evolve.
inspire people. That's the important thing. um, so yeah, as you said, life's an opportunity to have fun, to be kind, to help others, to enjoy it. Actually, I really resonated with what you said about the sunset, that if you see that there's a better place to see it, you'll go there. I myself have the same attitude. And for example, especially in this period of my life, I really feel that I want to be surrounded by beautiful things. Beautiful in every sense possible, not only aesthetically, of course, but things that really make me feel good and at peace and joyful. For example, I would listen to music way more often than I used to do, or I would listen to podcasts. Or, for example, on Sunday night, I went to a concert. I went by myself because I asked around. No one had the chance to come with me, but I still went because I still wanted to, listen to good music and to feel empowered and to, be surrounded by strangers, yes, but by strangers who all had this thing in common, this passion in common. And I went there and I was in this huge theater hall and I was on my own, and the lights on the stage opened up and the music started and everyone started singing together, and I was alone, but I felt, when you feel the energy of a place, and it was so emotional and it was so beautiful. And I wouldn't have missed it. I mean, it's so important to do things for yourself. It also goes back to that. I mean, there's nothing else without you, right?
No,
How,
you
how
can. You are gonna.
how can you share things if you're
You're
empty?
gonna deal with yourself forever. That's like you cannot
Exactly.
get away from
Take
yourself.
care of yourself. I also think, it's important to treat yourself. For example, I have these small habits. I often go to a bar and have a cappuccino instead of making it at home. This is my small cuddle. I only take it once a day, not every day, but it's my moment. I go to my favorite bar and I have my cappuccino for myself, and I just take that moment only for myself, and then I recharge, and then I go on for the rest of the day. And that moment, as simple as that, but it makes me so happy because I really take the time to actually taste the coffee and the milk and to feel it in my body, to feel the warmth, and to just pause,
Yeah.
and it's so important to find these little moments in a life that it's often so fast, as we said earlier. It's so important, as I said, 10 minutes in the morning just for yourself, or 5 minutes having a coffee, and just be mindful of that moment. Because sometimes when we eat, when we drink, we're on our phone, we scroll, we don't even notice how that tastes like, or
Yeah.
how that feels in the body. And that is so important. It's mindful. It's mindfulness. It's a kind of meditation, if you think, the
It
movement
is.
of the spoon in the cup, or the feeling on the tongue. It's so important.
No, like a very very simple thing that I do, and it frustrates me sometimes when I can't, which is whenever I have a dessert, like a chocolate cake or like something in front of me, and I'm gonna eat it. I cannot eat it and continue the conversation that I'm having with someone because I one of the things that I like really dislike is whenever I finish my dessert and I don't remember eating it. I'm like, oh, I
Right.
just ate it while talking to you. Come on, like I lost that moment. So like
Yeah.
whenever it's a little thing, but like whenever like there is a dessert or something that I really enjoy eating, like okay, let me just focus on this because I want to be mindful. I want to remember this meal. Like I want to feel it.
Yeah.
So yes, I think it's about being mindful of little things also in life. It's a beautiful challenge. We should all take it.
Yeah. Have you read The Power of Now?
No, but I know this book. I know this book. I'm being to read it for a long time actually.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it basically
being to
said
read it.
what we just said. So the importance, of being present, and finding meaning and purpose also in the small things, daily life things. as simple as drinking coffee, or for example, I have some beautiful plants here. Ooh, if I don't destroy them. But even just,
Oh,
I mean, these are orchids, and even just have them here on the desk, it just makes me happy. Just
yeah,
looking at them. They're not useful. They don't do anything specific. They're just there. They're beautiful. That's all I
it
need, you
improves
know?
your experience of living.
Yeah.
Makes your
And
experience more beautiful.
what?
It makes your living experience more beautiful.
Exactly. And I mean, I think it's also important to remember that not everything has to be functional, not everything has to be, has to have a purpose. It's so important to find or find again for someone really the power in things that are useless, but maybe they're just beautiful, or maybe they just evoke an emotion in yourself. Okay, they're not useful. Okay, they don't serve any purpose. They're just there. They make me feel good. That's good. End of the story.
Yeah, yeah. There is it. Talking about books, there is this Alan Watts books, Alan Watts book, and it's I think it's a beautiful one. It's quite simple and quite easy to read. It's like 100 pages only, so it's not like a huge thing. And the name of the book is "The Taboo Against Knowing Who You Truly Are."
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And it's the book that he, like, in the beginning of the book, he explains why he wrote it, and he was like saying like, okay, I want to write something that can teach people the most important thing in life, but I don't want it to be considered like a Bible. I don't want it to be considered like a holy book or anything like that. I want it to be a book that you have like in the side of your bed, but you read it whenever you want, like just as a reminder sometimes. And the book talk about like this simplicity of the answer of what we are, and what we are doing here. It's like he makes it like we all make it very seem like very complex, but actually in the end it's all very simple. It's not all like just.
Yeah.
And he has this saying that I think it's beautiful. This book, which is like two sayings that I think it's beautiful. The first one is he's talking about this thing that we're talking now, which is the beauty and the importance of seeing beauty in things. And he says like one thing is to be amazed by a griffo or a phoenix, which are creatures that do not exist. Another completely different thing is to be amazed by a dog or a chicken, you know? And that's, I think that's very important to be able to look at simple things in our daily lives and just like, wow, this is crazy. Like
Yeah.
sometimes I'm walking and I don't know, I see a tree, like huge tree, and I look at it like this is crazy. Like it's literally crazy. Like this tree has been here like for hundreds of years. It is a crazy thing. It is a crazy
Yeah.
thing if you think about it. And the other sentence that he has there, beautiful. It's as the ocean waves, the universe people. You know, so like the wave of the ocean is not something completely different. It's not separated from the ocean. There's the ocean, and there's the wave, and the wave eventually becomes the ocean again. So like, and that's the comparison on like the universe people. Like we are not detached from planet Earth. We're not detached from the universe. We're not detached from each other. We're just one thing, that's happening. It's just going on. It's just experiences happening and happening and happening. And yeah, like for me, it resonates a lot and it's simplified. For me, it's simplified, but also it gives a lot of beautiful meaning to it because it
Right.
sounds so silly and so simple, but at the same time so powerful. Like this feeling of connection that we can have with everyone. Like people, like with, and we can see that it's real. It's there. Like even if we don't, like we were saying at first, like even if we are detached from people that are far away from us, if we take some time to pay attention, we're gonna feel the connection. Like if we take some time to start reading about the little kids in Africa, or like if we put effort into connecting, we're gonna feel the connection as well.
Yeah. Because we all share what's human about us. I mean, of course, everyone, you know, everyone's different, but at the same time, there are some components that inevitably every one of us has shared or will share in his or her lifetime. And that's what's great about humanity, we basically all feel the same emotions. Not the same things will provoke and evoke the same emotions in everyone, but those are that. I mean, there's no really anything else that we can feel more than what we feel. So
Yeah.
yeah, it might be easier with some people to connect with them. It might be more difficult with others, but I do also really believe that some kind of connection we can feel with everyone.
I think so. It's there. It's always there.
What?
No, I feel like it's always there. Like it's just a matter of finding it. It's just a matter of looking, trying to understand, and like again, it's I think like the main point of this whole conversation that we have is everything is a process and everything is about trying, right? It's about like trying again and again and again and again and
Yeah.
failing and failing and failing, but then eventually gets easier. Eventually everything gets easier.
You just freeze. You just froze for
No,
a second.
am I back?
Yeah, you're here now. Yeah, you're back.
No, but yeah, I feel like I was saying, like you just have to try and try, and eventually everything gets easier and everything gets better. There was this beautiful YouTube channel that they have. Like I love it. They put like a lot of famous people to talk to each other in a round table. I don't remember the name, but they ask like life questions. And it's like seeing those people in a scenario that we never saw them before, like very vulnerable scenario. And Tom Hanks, he says
Mhm.
that for him, like the life motto that he has, that these two shall pass. But for everything, like for example, if something bad is happening in his life, it will pass. If something good is happening in his life, it will also pass. So like everything comes and goes, and
Of
it
course.
makes you appreciate. So it makes you. And when I listened to that, it made a lot of sense because like it makes you appreciate the good things because they're gonna go away eventually, and it makes you feel good about the bad things because they're also gonna go away.
Yeah.
So nothing
Yeah.
is constant. Everything's moving. Everything's constantly changing, and we just have to adapt.
Yeah. And one thing I realized, especially in these past 2 months after my dad passed away, is that you can't, I mean, it's so wrong to take for granted and to pretend that life goes a certain way. I mean, it might seem, I mean, duh, but when you actually live it, it's so easy to, react a certain way when bad things happen to you. It's so easy to think, oh, that's not fair, or to think, oh, why did that happen to me, or to think, oh, that shouldn't have gone that way. But life goes that way. I mean, there's no really way around it. I mean, you just have to accept whatever comes your way and to react the best way possible to that. I mean,
Yeah,
it's not about the things that happen to you, it's about the way you react to those things. And that is
definitely.
probably 99% of the work. So, and it also makes me a little bit angry whenever I hear people like get mad about some things that happen in their life and, bitch about it, or, oh, that's not fair. I mean, who told you that life is fair? I mean, no one granted,
Yeah,
like, why do you take for granted that life is always fair, that life is always good, that life is life? I mean, it comes, it goes, it's good, it's bad, you're happy, you're sad, you're frustrated, you're depressed, you're excited. That is life.
never never stops. Never stops.
Exactly. So don't expect it to be always perfect, because if you have that expectations, I mean, first of all, that's unrealistic. And second of all, you'll never be fully happy. Be content with what you have. Do work with what you have, and don't really expect anything, not because you're pessimistic, but just because life is beautiful that way. It's a surprise. You can't control anything. Um, so just accept whatever comes along, just take it in, experience it, live it fully, whether good or bad, and enjoy the ride. I mean, it's ups and downs, but it's so much better to feel all those ups and downs than to be static, and not to feel anything. Just accept life, invite it in, just, be ready for it. And, I'm very curious about life. I'm very curious about what it will bring me. And it's so fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it's so
it is.
unexpected and so fun, and it's totally a surprise. I mean, we don't know what will happen in a minute. We don't know what will happen after life. We don't know basically anything.
Yeah.
Um, so
I
just enjoy it, What's
yeah,
left to
like
do?
exactly like nothing actually. And I have this feeling from from my life, which is when I was born, like my parents, they were like super poor, and my first years of life when I was 4, I grew up like in a very very poor neighborhood, very poor place, and eventually my father, he got like a better job, and my mom also got a better job. Eventually, like we all were able to like get a better living, and but not once in a lifetime I would have thought that I would be living in Europe, for example. It never crossed my mind that I would be having like a life to where I can travel to places and where I can discover the world and everything. Like that was not a thought at all while growing up. And nowadays I'm here, But I feel like I also like I kind of owe it to myself to experience it to the fullest, just like live it as maximum as I can, because um the opportunity that was given to me, according to the cards that I was dealt in the beginning of the game. I think I played pretty well, like in the circumstances that happened and brought me to this place where I am nowadays. I feel like this is the only option that I have is to enjoy it. And talking a bit about what you're saying of like life is just experiences, either bad or good, but it's important like how we perceive things, right?
Yeah.
There's this guy that I also I love. It's Jason Silva, like a contemporary philosopher, and he makes a lot of videos. He calls these videos shots of awe. It's like very short videos, like 1 or 2 minute videos, where he says a lot of crazy things about the universe, and it just gets you inspired about it. And in one of those videos, he's talking about an article, and that was the name of the article is like, "Can we change the past?" And it's like a contradictory thing, like, "Can we change the past?" Like the answer is of course not, right? But what he's saying there is like, it's all about the lenses that you have when you're perceiving an experience. Like, can we change the past? No, we cannot change the experience that happened, but we can change the way that we perceive that experience.
Of
This is
course.
like, and then like adding it with what we were talking in the beginning of like therapy and like being a psychologist. This is the work that she was doing with me, for example. She was going back on previous experiences that I had and like giving new meaning to it, and just like seeing it through a different lenses than what I saw at the time. Because we can
Right.
do that, we have the choice to do it. And when you think about it, you can also do it in the moment that it's happening. So, like if something bad is happening or something good is happening, just try to choose the lenses that you're gonna put it
Yeah.
in. Like,
And
am I gonna
contextualize it and see the bigger
contextualize
picture.
it?
Yeah, because
Yes,
when
yes,
we're leaving something, a situation, a bad situation that makes us sad or angry or depressed, it's so easy to be so involved in it that we don't see
mhm,
anything else, that we see it as we don't realize that it's temporary, because everything in life is good things, bad things, everything is temporary. So especially in the bad moments, it's so helpful and so healthy also, I think, to remember to zoom out and say, okay, this is just
yeah,
a little segment of my whole life. It's come, I have to pass it through. It's okay. I might cry. I might, be depressed, but always keep in mind to be kind, to be grateful for all the people that I have in my life, blah, 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 and then it's gonna pass like everything else. And to contextualize it, it's so important.
So I think I froze again. Or am I back?
You're back. Yeah.
Okay. There's like this uh, sentence and this thing that is crossing like social media. Maybe you saw it already, or like it is like uh, if you had like I don't know the number exactly, but like the analogy that is important is like if you had like 80,604 uh, dollars every single day, like every single day, this amount of money goes to your account, and like on a specific day, someone comes and they take like I don't know $1,000 from you. They steal $1,000. You know, and now you just have like 83,000, and you don't have 84,000 anymore. But you know that tomorrow you're gonna have 84,000 again. Would you get mad? Probably not. Probably like just like whatever, right? And like the whole meaning of this quote is like we have like I don't know like 84,000 seconds every single day, to live, or minutes or some seconds to live. So like if something bad takes away 1,000 seconds from your life, 2,000 seconds from your life, 3,000, 4,000, 10,000. Tomorrow you're gonna have that amount again, and tomorrow you're gonna have that amount again. So like, is it worth it to let those things like to affect like all the rest of your day, all the rest of your week, all the rest of your month? Maybe not. No, but
Yeah.
like, but if we don't stop to think about it, then it probably will affect. It's probably just
Of
gonna like,
course. It's a vicious cycle.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Vini, we've been talking
Wow.
for a long time.
Wow, 2 hours.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And I know we could keep going until tomorrow, but I think if we want to talk some more, maybe we can do another time. I'd love to have you here again in the
I would love
podcast.
to have you in the Are We Eternal
Yeah, I'd
project.
love that. Okay,
All right.
so
So next time we talk there.
all right. And thank you again so much for these very insightful chat. And I really hope to see you soon. And thank you for all of you who've been watching us and listening to us. And yeah, okay.
Thank
Yeah,
you
here
very
you
much.
have people saying bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I love it. I love this kind of conversation. So anytime that you wanna bring me, just feel free to invite me. I will always say yes.
And don't
Greetings,
forget
greetings
to
from Portugal.
follow, yeah, don't forget to follow Vinicius on Instagram and all his socials, and the project Are We Eternal. You will find it on Instagram, right? And also, do
Yes.
you have any other pages, links?
No, it's basically Are We Eternal, and you can also go to our website. We have a lot of interesting things there. It's areweeternal.com. So please just look for us, and feel free to get inspired and also to reach out.
Thank you so much, and see you next time.